Hi everyone, I'm Deanne from Newfoundland, Canada. Welcome to my Flosstube channel. We are at episode 54 and we are at take 2. I didn't like how many times I was saying in the first try. So I've got everything spread out now, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Welcome, it's the 5th of June. Crazy that we're 6 months into the year. January and February felt like they were a year long each, and then since we hit March, it's been like June. For those of you who don't know, I'm from Newfoundland, like I said, on the east coast of Canada. We have been experiencing 2 weeks of rain, drizzle, and fog, or as we call it, RDF, our most popular weather in the spring. So I have a couple of lights on. I have my ceiling light on. I don't turn on my ring light because all you get are green circles in my glasses and I hate it. But hopefully I have enough light for you guys to see everything. Actually, I'm gonna take this lamp and bring it down a little bit. Maybe that might help a bit. What's been going on with life? Busy, busy, busy. Last video I said I hope to be back after 2 weeks. It's 3 weeks again. I just never seem to. I know I work from home. My child is in school all day. I don't have an excuse other than I just haven't gotten around to it. Aaron, my son, is in grade 11. They're into final assessments now. They finished school on the 21st. So when I went to school, we had what was called public exams, and they were run by the Department of Education, and we all trooped into the gym, and we had rows and rows and rows of seats, and we all sat there for 2 to 3 hours and wrote exams on everything that the course had taught us from September to June. Thankfully, when COVID hit, they stopped doing that, and they're not going to bring them back. Yay. Again, sorry. Now, some schools don't do any final assessments. They go on field trips or have fun things, and the high school that my son goes to, and apparently every high school can decide, or every person at the school board that runs a certain section of the schools can decide, either the school or the school board person decides that my son's school are going to do final assessments. He's had math, social studies, where they had, they're more like tests. They're only worth 15% of the course, whereas our final exams used to be worth 50% of the course. And so the math and the social studies split them between 2 class periods. They did multiple choice in one class, and then they did like their long answers or in the other class. He's had a French oral interview. My son volunteered to go first for the whole class. He's not his mother's son. I would have wanted to go last when I didn't have any choice but to go. And then in English, they all got an independent novel to read. And then they had to do a project, an assignment on their book, where they had to do an advertisement for that book. They had like 10 different media strategies, and they had to pick 2, and they had to do an ad using those 2, and then they had to explain why they chose those 2. English is not our subject. His father has an English degree. I like to say it's a would you like fries with that degree, because what do you do with an English degree? But anyway, so that was totally his father's department, and now he has biology on the 11th, which is 1 class test on a whole lot of stuff, and it's human body stuff. Like he could be going to medical school for the things he has to know about the circulatory system and the respiratory system. Yeah, so it's been stressful, and he has autism and ADHD. For those who are new, So there are some behavior things in that he doesn't understand personal space, and he doesn't understand when someone doesn't want to talk to him, and he doesn't understand he can't be calling out to people in the middle of class, and he can't be chasing someone down in the hallway. So yeah, we've had a bit of that in the last couple of days too, which have been stressful. But 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks to go. Anyway, enough about that. Oh, some good stuff about my child, because my life is boring. I work and I do housework and I get the groceries, and that's my life. They started this year doing it's called Allied Sports with Special Olympics in a school for those who are able to participate in Special Olympics. So they did basketball, and he got a certificate for the best improved player, or the most improved player in basketball, which was cool. And then they started a bocce recently, and they had a bocce tournament, and now they don't have enough students to make up. They had enough students to make up a team, but they had 4 other schools coming in, and they have students to have a couple of teams, so they had volunteer participants out as well. They have a career course, and Aaron is doing that as well this year, and they have to do volunteer hours, 30 volunteer hours, and so they had some of the, I guess, students that are doing the career courses volunteer to help with being on team members or being referees or whatever. So Aaron and another participant and 2 volunteer participants made up a team, and they won the gold medal for the tournament. They had, like I said, 3 other schools there, and there was 7 or 8 teams all together, so that was really cool. I went over and watched the opening ceremonies and watched one of his games, but I wasn't going to stay all day. And then he's also signed up to participate in Challenger Baseball, which is a baseball for kids with special needs that's sponsored by the Jays Cares Foundation from the Toronto Blue Jays. Aaron's participated for 5-6 years, well, minus the COVID years. And so that's supposed to start on Saturday, and we've had rain, drizzle, and fog for the last 2 weeks. So every bit of like grass I see is puddles, puddles, puddles. So I don't expect that they're going to be playing on Saturday, so it will probably not start until next Saturday, the 15th, which is my mom's birthday. But that's okay. And in July they will have a Jays Day, which they had before COVID, and they have some former Blue Jays. They come for a regular baseball camp, but they also come and spend an afternoon with the participants of the Challenger Baseball program. So that will be really cool. And that's pretty much what's been going on. It's yeah. My life is boring. This is exciting. The most exciting thing that happened to me this week was that I got a new Ray Dunn mug. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big Toronto Blue Jays fan. One of the reasons we're going to Toronto. They haven't been playing very well, but I'm still a fan. So let's move on to stitching, which I know you're all here for. And if you're new here, did I say welcome? I know I did in the first try of this. If I didn't, welcome. I had a shout out from Angie at the Hibernation Stitcher on her 5th video. I think she's up to 8 now. I have watched 4. I haven't even watched the one where she shouted me out. But thank you, Angie. And thank you if you've decided to join me from her channel. And anyone who's joined me from the Flosstubers Facebook group, there was a post there and everybody listed their channels. So if you've joined me from there, thanks. I love comments. I love hearing where you found me from. Flood my comments, please. And anyone who I have subscribed to Flosstube, I apologize that I am not watching very many Flosstube videos. It's baseball season, so when I stitch, I'm watching the ball game. It's also French Open tennis week, 2 weeks, so I'm a big tennis fan too. So yeah, my time in front of the TV, which has been very limited, has been made up of watching or catching up on tennis and baseball. But I'll get to you, I promise. Yeah, stitching. So, new here, I will give you a little background that May is all about me, because it's my birthday month and Mother's Day, and this year they fell on the same weekend, so I needed to spread it out a bit. And so I always pick a theme of stitching, either full coverage, and I start a new full coverage every week, or one year it was mirabilias and I started or stitched on my mirabilias all week. One year it was just the first time I did it, it was just a new start every week. I don't start a lot of things. I gotta make up for it next year, and I'll tell you about that later. But yeah, I have a lot of big projects, and something in my brain, probably my mother's mother's voice right back here saying, "You haven't finished what you're stitching on." So I tend not to start a lot of stuff. So this month gives me an excuse to start stuff. But this year I decided on freebies, because I don't know if you're like me, but every time I say freebie, save, and I have like hundreds of them, and I never stitch freebies. I love them, I save them, but I don't stitch them. So that was my excuse for May, and I may just do it twice a year, and make every May freebie month, and make every, I don't know, October or November freebie month, because it gave me a break away from my bigger pieces. And I just got to chill a little, and I also got to stitch and finish a nice bit of stuff. So that was fun. So first up are my FFOs. So I FFO'd two things that I had stitched before May. The first two houses from the Pinker and Pumpkin 6 house sal. This is a sal that was started by Mama Loves You GB, and I heard it through Darlene Dion, to do 6 houses from Melissa at Pinker and Pumpkin's blog. All her patterns are free. So I have a list of the ones I picked, but these are the first two. So this was 6, which means I got 2 months to stitch them. So this was the January/February one, which was Winter Salt Box House. So let's try maybe this side. Can you see it better? So 28 count Monaco that I dyed with denim blue and a little bit of pearl gray. There were a couple of more flying cardinals up in the sky. I took them out and stuck in a few more snowflakes. Finished it with snowflake fabric and a little bit of rickrack on the bottom, around the sides, and there we go. I love this one. The blues and the reds just are awesome. This one was, April was Elizabeth Hartland's Salt Box. I'm not so gone on my stuffing technique on this one, but here we are. This is this one. So what did I change? There was some kind of quilting design down at the bottom of the house. I just wanted the house. These flowers that are yellow were originally $3.53 and $3.55, I think. So more of a corally orangey color, which I didn't think worked with the rest of the colors in the pattern. So just pink, and then pink rickrack, and yeah. So obviously this one is bigger because I did include the quilt pattern on the bottom of that one, but that's fine. So that's those two. So there might be enough. Drop them. Next up were the two that I showed you last video that were finished. I now fully finished them. First up was Happy Spring by Lizzie Kate, and if you want to find this, it's linked in my last video. The only thing I changed, this was an orangey, it was pumpkin in the original, and I changed it to a pink, which I told you what color it was last time. I changed the color of the letters because I didn't have the one that was called for, and I did see it, the other one, the one I used Sugar Plum is what I used for the letters. I couldn't remember it last time, couldn't find it. And then I just happened to have a perfect match to the colors for the fabric and pick rickrack around the edge. So yeah, that one is all done. Then I showed you Lobsters and Lighthouses by Helen D. East Coast Crafter on Instagram, and I linked this one in my last video as well. So all the rest, I didn't say, the pink house was stitched on a 28 count Monaco, and so was the Hello Spring. They were all stitched on just a white Monaco from Michaels, except I dyed the one for the winter. This one is stitched on blue glass Monaco, 28 count. Called for the letters, and the gray and the yellow I think were just DMC. The white I changed because I didn't have what you called for, and the waves I used not what you called for, but Land and Sea by Brin Nedle, and I used my puffins that I showed you the bag from the last video, and I just had some left over. There's that one. And I'm just running right through these. I know I talked a lot more about them in the last try. And finally, the one that I cannot link for you because I could not find it, but I didn't know I couldn't find it until after I stitched it. It's Heart and Hand Autumn Alphabet, and I changed all the colors to Brin and Nedle threads, and it's done on 28 count taupe and just a piece of fabric I had left over from a previous finish. So the threads I used were for the letters I used Lassie Moggs, which is this one. Ooh, let's see. And I don't know if you can tell, probably can't, but if you look closely at the letters, there is a bit of pinkish color in amongst all that rusty orangey. And then for the pumpkin or the gourd or whatever it is, I used jigs and reels, so, which gave it a really cool design. And then for the stem, I used pirate glass. So, and I'm buying their thread because I love it, but I'm glad I found something to use them for, because there's this little voice in your head, probably my mother again, saying, how come you're buying all that and you're not using it? So those were all the FFOs I got from May and earlier. Now then, the finished objects I got were from Doreen Jones's Facebook page. Excuse me. I feel like I need to. Sorry. I finished the cat biscornu. Now I started this before May, but I had only, I think, finished one cat and one pumpkin, and so it's a freebie. And she doesn't provide the other half for the biscornu, so I just did the black frame, and I put one of the little orange designs in each corner, hopefully. And it's been years since I've stitched or finished a biscornu, but I have a video. I just have to sit down and watch it so I can FFO that. Then I finished my first strawberry. This is Mary's Basket by Melissa Pink and Pumpkin. It's folded. Oh, this one is stitched on, I think it's a ivory, like it's just, that was just little bits I had in my stash. This one once again finished on the 28 count Monaco, and there's a great big crease down the center that I hope will come out. That's how I found my center. This is, like I said, my first strawberry finish. I have an Erica Michaels finish that my friend Patty gave me last year. She brought it back from Stitch North for me. But I wanted to try this one before I got into that one. And this is part of Stash, but I got the only store in town that has like felted wool, I think it's called. Is that what it's called? Oh, I'm looking for here. Oh, here it is right in front of me. Sorry. The business card. So with the rain, drizzle, and fog and how miserable it's been and how busy we've been, I'm like, I'm not going downtown. I'm not trying to find a place to park. I'm not going to be walking to the store because I don't like going downtown. Like parking and that is awful. Unless you want to park in the parking garage and pay a fortune for it. So I went on to Etsy and found Gingermelon, which is a Canadian store, and I will link her below. And I bought a piece of felted, and so I have to sit down with a video, and I know Helen D has one or several, and figure out how to finish a strawberry. Hopefully I'll get that done before my next video. Hopefully I'll have both of those finished before my next video. And then lastly, my last finish for the month of May, and I apologize for the cat hair, but it's black fabric. And if any of you have cats and stitch on black fabric, you know what happens. It just sucks it in. So this is a very Merry Christmas to You by Stitching with the Housewives, Priscilla and Chelsea, and you can find that on Priscilla's blog, and I will link it down below again. I got a Very Merry, and I started, or a Berry, and I started doing Merry, and it's called for black, and I'm like, black on black on black. And when I went back to her blog, it was not stitched on black. It was stitched on a blue or a teal color. So I had started it, and I said, I'm not ripping it out to go find another fabric. So I took, there was one yellow stitch in his belt, and when I stitched, I left that yellow stitch out. And so all the black I stitched in the yellow, gold, whatever you want to call it. And then of course I couldn't stitch his belt and his boots and his mitts gold, so I had a chronic there, and you can kind of see, I think if I bring it in, kind of a little bit of shimmer on his belt. And so I'm going to turn that into an ornament. And that's all my stitch. Oh, sorry, I hit the table. Didn't mean to rock you. That's all my finishes for May. I still have 3 freebies that I'm working on, and that was a lot. Like I said, I was really happy with what I got completed, like 6 FFOs and 3 FOs. Like, I don't get that done in a month when I stitch on my full coverage pieces. So what I have not finished in freebies that I will get to over the rest of the year is the 3rd house in the Pinker and Pumpkin Cell. This one is Green Spring Salt Box, I think it is. Obviously Melissa from Pinker and Pumpkin. Notice I've seen it saying Pinker and Pumpkin a lot. She has a lot of great freebies if you haven't checked her out. So I am once again leaving off the quilt design at the bottom. Because you can see there's a lot of space up here. There's actually a flower that comes up on each side and comes up here. And so, and 28 count Monaco again. I'm doing them all on the same fabric. And if you can tell by that one that I did actually dunk it in Kelly Green dye, just to give it a little bit of color, not a lot. And then, once again, Melissa from Pinker and Pumpkin, her sheep jar, which I had started before May. So I have, there's a pair of scissors shears up here, I guess, for shearing the sheep that I left off. I moved these little blue designs around a little bit. I have the top sheep completed, looking on the bottom sheep, and then there's 3 rows, I think, of grass at the bottom of the jar. So I'm over halfway done with that one. And lastly is Snowflake Diaries, Joyful World till April. I was hoping that I'd get one of these done each month so that by the end of this year I'd have them all done. Obviously didn't work. They'll be done eventually. And I'll be able to put one out each month. But here we are, April. So this side is complete. I'm working on this side, obviously. I think there's a couple more rows down at the bottom, and then the border all the way around. And the border is done in the same color as the April, and I shouldn't have done the April in that color because I don't like the color, but it's done now and I'm not taking it out. But I will probably be changing the color of the border to one of the other colors. I know there's a little design in each corner, so I have to figure out what those colors are and then figure out which one works best for the border. And that is all of my freebies. That is all my stitching from May. So since May, I picked up my full coverage again. Let me just grab them because they're down here from where I was talking about them earlier. So first up, I will show you my mini sunflower. They're all Heaven and Earth designs if you're new here. Mini sunflower by Marianne Broom. Stitch 1/1 on 25 count daffodil. I put in 200 stitches. I am at 61.76%. This I plan to have finished by the end of the year. I have to pick up my pace. We're halfway through. Well, I've only got like 49%, 48 point something percent left. So hopefully. It's hard to see where my 200 stitches went because I'm filling in the rows. I have the top 4 rows completed. I'm working on the 5th row. So here we are. This is where we are. So what I stitched, or where I left off, it's about right here. There's a few more stitches in the 5th row that I think that I need to go across the 6th row and fill it all in together. And that's where we are. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to get it finished. I really need to, last time I think I said I needed to do a daily stitch on it, but life has just been crazy. Next up is Beachcomber Mini Beachcomber Bounty by Amy Stewart. It's stitched 1/1 on 28 count aquamarine linen. I put in 500 stitches. I am at 10%, which was my yearly goal. I made out a goal for each of my full coverage. If I get them done before the end of the year, I'll go back and I'll like add a percentage or something. So here is where we are with it. Over a bit. So there we go. So my 500 stitches went into this half. So I picked up here on the top edge where the brown is, and I stitched across and I stitched down to there. Whoop, there. So that's my 500 stitches. So I'm decided I wanted to try and like get all the way around the very edge with a few stitches so I could make sure that I had enough. I obviously have enough in the width, which I'm very happy about. Let's hope I have enough in the length too. So that is that one. So that one is going to be put aside now until I get all the other goals done, and then I will bring it back. There's a couple I'm not sure I'm gonna reach the goal because of how big they are. I forgot on the 24th and 25th to stitch on my home for the holidays, but it was May was all about freebies, so I will have to, I will only get to stitch on it this month on the 24th because we leave on vacation on the 25th, and I'm not taking that one with me because I'm not dealing with that in a hotel room. So next up is the Queen of Hearts, which was my birthday start a few years ago. I don't think I've had a birthday start since. I am stitching this one 1/1 on 28 count dahlia. I put in 200 stitches and I'm at 2.29%. And my goal for this one is 10%. If I get to 5, I'll be happy. So here we are. So what did I do? I put in a bit more down here, and then I was looking at the pattern and I realized the next diagonal down will bring me down to the wings of the queen. So I came back up to the top here and started putting in some stitches up here so that when I bring this one down eventually, I think somewhere down around here, I will hit her wings. So that's where we are. And this section is a whole lot of one color, and I mean a lot, like over 100 stitches across the 3 of them. Yeah, so I needed to change color. And finally, my last whip that I'm currently working on is Almost Home by Mini Almost Home by Leonid Afremov. I'm stitching it 1/1 on 28 count Star Sapphire. I have put in 161 stitches, and so I'm currently continuing on with that. I'm at 10.23%, so the goal for this one was 15%, and I don't think I'll have any trouble getting to it this week. So here we are. I'm not going to take it off the Q-snap. But these trees go down a little tiny bit further, not much, but that's not what I stitched on. What I've been stitching on is filling in between the trees here. So that's that one, and this is a really quick, easy stitch. I'm sure that I'll get to my 15% before the end of this week. Oh, sorry, I keep hitting the table. I just feel like I know I wasn't centered for that. So that's everything. Talk a little bit about purchases. I haven't been purchasing a lot. Like I said, I'm waiting for our trip. I have a list of things that I want to buy for plans for next year, which I said I was going to kind of mention because I said I didn't purchase. Didn't start a lot, so I was going to start a lot next year. I've been watching Sew Me Sarah, Darlene Dion, and Flossie Sews and Grows, and they are all doing multiple starts this year because of milestone and in 0 birthdays. I'll let you watch them to find out how old they're going to be, because that's but I am having a half milestone birthday next year. I'm turning 55 next year. So talking with Darlene and how many she was starting and that, and I said, maybe I should start 50. Yes, you should start. Okay, I will. So in that short little conversation, I decided I'm starting 55 new starts next year. Shh, don't tell anyone. Not my family. So I have been gathering and gathering patterns from my stash. I can't believe I can believe I've bought this much stuff and haven't started it because I'm not a starter. Unless I get to May, and then I'll start 5 new things, but I won't start anything else. So yeah, that's my plan, and so all my purchases, or most of them, have been thoughtful towards that. But for this year, for my birthday, my son gave me a gift card for Gita's in Toronto, and when we get there, I have a list, so I am going to be buying quite a bit. Yeah, I'm done. that's a start every 6 days. Plus, I'm working in my plans. I'm going to work down my whips to hopefully have only 10 left at the end of this year. I know I'm gonna have my 9 full coverages minus the one that I'm hoping, or the one I'm hoping to finish is 10, but I'm hoping to have 9 left at the end of the year. And then I'm gonna have one big or fairly big non-full coverage because I'm doing Little Things sampler by Stitches Through the Years. I know I'm not going to get that finished by the end of the year. I'm hoping to get the rest of my non-full coverage finished. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. Anyway, all that, I don't know why I told you all that then. So, yeah, basically my plans before I get to my purchases is to continue stitching on my whips. Great plans, eh? So, what I have bought is, or had come, or purchased, besides the piece of felt, I have had come from Seaside Stitches a piece of 28 count black linen, and that is for one of my first starts next year in 6 months time. I purchased a temperature chart. I have watched tons of people do temperature charts. I love the idea of doing a temperature chart. I just didn't want to do one where I had to stitch a tree or a bookcase or a shelf or any of these things. So I finally sat down with Etsy and searched through, and I decided on the Rainbow Temperature Supernova by Climbing Goat Designs, and I'll link her below. And it is this. And I finally decided on doing it next year because my son is graduating from high school next year, and I thought that would be a cool thing. I know it's like half his school year, but still, I thought it would be a cool thing to have one for his last year. This is one where you stitch the high and the low, which is also something that I wanted. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to starting that in January. Then I told those of you that watched my last video that I had ordered some thread from Brin Nedle, and 2 Saturdays ago they had posted up that they were going to be down there packing up mail orders, so if anyone wanted to sneak peek to come on down. And so I messaged my friend Elle and said, want to go down? And she says, yeah. Can your husband drive us down? And she said, yeah. So I drove down to where they live and parked, and her husband dropped us off, and we were there for a couple of hours. And I could have spent a whole lot of money, but like I said, I'm trying to wait until after we get back from Toronto. But I had ordered some thread, I told you, from their Knitting Newfoundland name section, and when it came I would show you. And so I got it while I was down there, and then I picked up 2 more. So I've got 5 threads to show you. And like I said, the knotty names are not that knotty. First up is the Big Stick, which I know the lighting is awful, but it's a peachy, corally kind of, not too bad to get the coloring. Blends out to a almost white, and yeah. Oh, you see the, oh, there's the name, the Big Stick. And then we have Placentia Bay, which is actually Placentia and Placentia Bay are places here. They were on the part that was known as the French shore back in the 1600s, so it's purple, and it's a gorgeous purple. Let me see. And then the next one is called The Fall of the House of Dickieberg, Berg, B-E-R-G. For those of you who know Newfoundland, in the springtime on the northwest coast, we get a lot of icebergs. A lot of strangely shaped icebergs come down from the north. And last year we had one that was shaped like a penis. And so they called it the Dickieberg. And it collapsed. So this is why, I assume this is why they call this one the Fall of the House of Dickieberg. So there it is. It's like a bluey green, tealy color. It's gorgeous. They're all gorgeous. I'm in love with Cheryl's threads. And then the two I bought down there are the Banks of Newfoundland, which is a beautiful blue, sea blue. And snowboarding down Prescott Street. I need to keep buying their threads so I can give you a Newfoundland lesson every video. Prescott Street is a street in our downtown that is pretty much straight up. Actually, in the 70s-ish, 70s and early 80s, at the bottom of Prescott Street, where it hits our Water Street, there was a cop directing traffic. For years and years and years, he would be there, you know, directing traffic. It was the coolest thing when you went downtown. But I don't drive Prescott Street because, it's actually worse going up Prescott Street than it is going down. Because even though you have to keep your brakes on going down, once you're down and you have to stop and wait for the traffic to let you out, you're down the hill. When you're going up the hill and then you have to stop and wait for traffic to let you out, you're you know, I avoid that street at all costs. Anyway, this is the thread. It's a green. It's really, 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 really cool. Yeah, so that was my purchases from Brin Nedle. And the fabric is beautiful as well, and Patty dyes the fabric, and it's just gorgeous, but I will get some after my trip. And the only other thing I purchased was at the thrift store. I got 5 magazines. 4 magazines. So got them because, well, I could have bought a whole lot more because there was a ton there, but I'll show you what caught my eye in each one. First one is cross stitch, simply cross stitch, number 31. This is what caught my eye in this one. These two little mice dressed up in their Halloween costumes. So cute, so cute. I've got some great nieces and nephews that I gotta stitch some, and actually, I'm expecting a great niece any minute now. My niece is at 41 weeks, I think. She was due the 30th of May, 29th of May. But, so any minute now, we could find out that I'm going to have another great niece. And I'm expecting another one in August. But she's in Fort McMurray, along with her big sister, who is my sweet angel. But, you know, I get to see her like once a year other than photos and videos. She's my favorite. Don't tell anyone. I'm just looking for the pattern in this one. Oh, there's a couple in this one. The one that's on the cover. This is just cross stitch, December 2001. So I don't know if you can see that on the cover. So that's a shepherd's bush, which I thought was really cute. It says, far, far away on Judah's plains, shepherds of old heard the joyous strains. Peace on earth, goodwill to me. So that one is really, really nice. And then I just thought this was cute. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care. Thought that one was really cute. And then I have this one, which is Cross Stitcher December 2019. And well, I won't go looking for it, but I'll show you. It has an Emma Condon, this one right here in it, which I love. The only thing is there's no like numbers, so I either have to remove the 2019 or I have to try to create a 5 or a 6, whichever. Well, if it's a 6, it's just the 9 upside down. So maybe I should hold off and wait and get it finished in 2026. That would make it easier than trying to make a 5 out of it. And the best find was this one, which is Cross Stitch and Needlework, March 2014, because it has a number of designs and designers in it. It has February and March of the Year of Celebrations from Kathy Haberman, which is really cool. It has Chirp by Barbara Anna. It has Spring Garden Fairy by Joan Elliott. And it has a snail, oh, sorry, wrong one. A Snail's Garden by Stitchy Kitty, which I had never heard of, but I love that design. So that was a really good find. And that is everything. Like I said, I've told you my plans over and over. Stitch, stitch, and stitch. And I will see you guys definitely before we go away. Hopefully in, well, this is the 5th, 12th, and 19th, hopefully June 19th. And